Invasions dramatically change expectations in PvP. Unlike duels, you never know what you're facing, or even where to find your opponent. You may be fighting 4 or 5 other players at once. The fight could be over in 30 seconds, or take more than 30 minutes. The best thing you can do is be prepared. While your stats will play a large part in how things go, you should never forget your equipment. This short series covers weapons, items, and rings that are helpful for invasions. Some are common day-to-day gear, and others are often ignored. We'll be starting off with weapons in this video. The next 2 videos will cover items and rings. Weapons are the core of any build. They're the primary focus when choosing stats and even rings. The majority of what to equip is what you're comfortable using, but there are some standouts that shine in certain situations. There are also some weapons that are simply ignored, despite being highly useful. As an invader, you're often 20 or more levels below the enemies you're fighting. You want to spend your stats as efficiently as possible. Raw and other non-scaling weapons are great for this. You'll lose a bit of damage, but can more than make up for it with the points you've saved. For higher level invasions, you're proportionally much closer to your opponent's level. You won't be at such a loss for stats, so there's many more reasonable choices for what weapon to use. Due to this, I'll be mostly focusing on efficient low to mid-level choices and a couple of weapons that are great at any level. Crossbows are the most underused, best general purpose invasion weapon in the game. Every build can wield a crossbow of some sort, and they're always worth the investment. Crossbows allow you to hit from a distance. The damage may not be phenomenal, but it's free. There's barely any risk in using one, and you'll deal much more damage than a firebomb or throwing knife. They're most commonly used to damage from afar, but that's not where they shine. Crossbows are an excellent spacing tool. You can often bait out attacks and fire just outside the enemy's range. As you're not required to reload right away, the recovery time for a crossbow is incredibly short. This makes attacking up close incredibly safe. This is also why I'm a fan of wielding a crossbow in the left hand. You still have the threat of your primary melee weapon, but can also sneak in a lot of damage that would otherwise miss. To some degree, you can think of using a crossbow like a spear, except that it can't be parried, has much less recovery, and has much longer range. Having this level of control is incredibly frustrating to opponents. They know they're slowly being eaten away for free, and often don't have a great counter. The best option is to aggressively trade, or exploit the fact that a left-hand crossbow can't parry your block, or simply use a crossbow themselves. Crossbows are also great if you need to quickly hit a distant enemy. There's no pulling back to fire like a regular bow, or time spent intoning a spell. This makes them great for punishing heals and hitting people who are trying to flee. On top of this, the crossbow still has the benefit of staggering enemies. This is unlike similar fast options such as Farron Dart, throwing knives, and the quick draw skill for bows. This allows you to interrupt enemy attacks or even healing, and you fire quick enough for that to be a viable option at any range. As I mentioned before, crossbows can't be parried. This means that you can keep pressuring the enemy when they switch to a cestus or parry shield. Crossbows are especially good for this, as you can quickly transition between a weapon swing and firing a crossbow. Which crossbow you use is generally up to your stats. The light crossbow is great if you can't spend a single stat point on a low level build. The Arbalist, on the other hand, is absolutely worth a moderate strength investment, and the best option if you can use it. If you can afford the enormous cost of a few hundred lightning bolts, the Night Crossbow can be a great low to mid level choice as well. The Avalon is often recommended, but I feel like it's a poor choice. It suffers from low AR per bolt, high ammo consumption, and it's too slow for safe use as an invader. It's way better on the other side, where the Host and Phantoms can casually pepper an invader to death. If you're looking for a primary weapon for a low to mid level invader, there's a couple of exceptional choices. These weapons provide a good combination of low requirements, reasonable ease of use, and high effectiveness. The Raw Store Straight Sword is one of the best low requirement weapons in the game. It's great for low to mid level invasions. It provides exceptional AR on a weapon that every build can use. At most, you need a minimal investment in faith. On top of that, it's a straight sword. The straight sword moveset is one of the best, most versatile movesets in the game. You have wide, fast swings, with some of the best swing startup speed per damage of anything in the game. It also steps forward with each swing, making it easy to fish for hit confirms or catch rolls. This makes it really great for aggressive play. You simply need to be careful to avoid being parried. The R2 pokes also make for great counter hits, especially as thrust defense is lowered during a swing animation. The stance weapon skill allows you to easily break players' guards, or lunge a huge distance to hit your opponents. It's also relatively light, meaning you won't have to compromise absorption to maintain your roll speed. The Raw Dragon Slayer's Axe is a great low to mid soul level weapon. You'll need a stat investment to use it, so it's not as great to use if you're invading at soul level 10 to 20 as a Stora's Straight Sword. Instead, it's a great choice for 30 to 60. There's a couple of basic properties that make it stand out. First and most obvious is its damage output. While it's a split AR weapon, the physical and lightning AR are high enough for good damage per hit. On top of this, it can still be buffed. Lightning Resin can up the damage of this weapon by 25 to 50%. Outside of its damage, the Axe moveset is somewhat unique. While it isn't nearly as easy and versatile as a straight sword, and it's slower than other weapons of similar size and weight, there's one thing that stands out. You take a reasonably long step forward with odd-numbered swings. This is especially important for the first swing. The step forward also happens to occur very late in the swing animation. If you're careful and good at spacing, you can start up a swing outside of range and use the swing step to get just close enough to connect. This means that you can minimize the time spent close to an opponent. This works especially well when fighting straight swords. Imagine this scenario. Two players face off, one with an axe and the other with a straight sword. The straight sword user begins to swing at the edge of their range, including the distance covered by the swing step. The axe user can move back slightly and begin their swing. The straight sword user will step forward and finish their swing before the axe user steps forward. As a result, the axe user avoids being hit by the straight sword while stepping into their swing to hit the opponent. This makes the Dragon Slayer axe a surprisingly good spacing tool, and excellent at punishing attacks from straight swords. This happens to work when fighting other weapons as well. You can time the step and impact of an axe swing to avoid the enemy attack, and then hit during the recovery. The raw Flameberg isn't spectacular, but it at least deserves an honorable mention. It has low stat requirements and reasonably high unsplit AR. It's a bit on the slow side, but it has longer reach and wider swings than the Dragon Slayer axe. This can make it a better weapon for ganks, as you can more easily catch a group of players with its swings. It's also a bit better for backstabs and parries. Its full moveset isn't especially great. It doesn't have a one-handed poke, and the stance moveset is often too slow for PvP. Stance attacks for greatswords also tend to cost more FP than they're worth. You may be able to at least put its hyper armor to use, especially if you're fighting gankers using lighter weapons. The Cestus is my favorite low-weight parry tool. I find this to be the easiest parry tool to use, as it most resembles the timing from Dark Souls 1. In addition, it has a reasonably wide parry window with minimal recovery time. This makes it very safe to use for how effective it can be. As you won't be focusing on attacking or blocking with the Cestus, it's one of the better choices for Blessed or Simple infusions. Regardless of which you choose, they'll provide a lot of extra health or FP during the course of an invasion. You'll notice that I haven't suggested using a shield. Invasions are likely to pit a player against 2 or more opponents. It's very easy to dump stamina or be guard broken when facing a group of aggressive players. There are few situations where it's better to block an attack rather than simply roll. This is especially true with the low cost of rolls and the fast pace of combat. A shield will fare best on a build with high endurance and high defense. This will allow you to reduce the risk of a guard break, and minimize damage if you need to drop your guard and take a hit. If you're highly reliant on shields, you may want to avoid infusing it. An uninfused shield will have significantly higher stability. The Priest Chime is noteworthy as a simple healing tool. Gentle Prayer allows you to heal with almost no stat requirement, and for very little FP. This makes it something that every invasion build can use. In fact, you may never actually use it to cast miracles. The skill is all you really need. The Priest Chime pairs well with the simple Cestus. It'll allow for free healing on a regular basis. Regardless of which weapons you use, whether they be primary or utility, there's another factor to take into account. Players are not only matched by soul level, but weapon level as well. This means that in order to invade most players in your level range, you'll need to ensure that your weapon upgrades are within a couple levels of the host. A good rule of thumb is to be at or just under the maximum level for upgrade materials found where you plan to invade. For example, Irithyll is the first area where you start to find a reasonable amount of large Titanite. You'd want your weapons to be +6 or below in order to invade players in that area. Lower is generally better, as you'll find that a normal host typically won't have max level gear for that area. Having higher level equipment usually means invading Twinks and New Game Plus players. Bear in mind that the weapon level used for matching is permanent. You will always be matched against the highest weapon level that your character has ever owned. This applies even if you discard all of your higher level equipment. The only way to use that character to invade lower weapon levels is to start over and rebuild that character from scratch. If you want to invade players going through New Game Plus, then the host soul and weapon levels can be much higher per area. In fact, you'll probably want to be soul level 70 plus, and have +8 or higher weapons. While you can make a build targeting New Game Plus, I'd actually recommend against it. There simply aren't that many high level players in the earlier areas of the game. You'll find that most players won't even finish their first playthrough, let alone enter New Game Plus. This is true for most games, not just the Soul series. The weapons in this video provide a solid baseline for the average invader. They're a good mix of usability, low requirements, and high effectiveness. You'll likely find other weapons that will be a much better fit for how you like to play, especially at higher level. In fact, the process for choosing ideal weapons for an invasion build is a pretty large topic, enough for a video in itself. In the next video, we'll be going over items that can be highly useful for everyday invasions. Thanks for watching.